Let's kick things off with a big one, the authority of Jesus. Matthew 28:18 lays it out there. Jesus says all authority in heaven and earth has been given to him. That's a pretty sweeping statement. What's the significance behind this, and how does it connect to the bigger biblical picture?
It's huge. When Jesus claims that authority, he's placing himself at the center of God's plan, not just as a teacher, but as someone with divine backing. What's wild is, this isn't just a new idea. The Old Testament, like Isa.55, talks about God being the only God, no competition. So when Jesus says he has this authority, he's tying himself directly to God's identity.
So it's not just Jesus stepping onto the scene with a new message. He's stepping into a role that's been set up since ancient times. That Isaiah passage you mentioned where God says, "Apart from me there is no God," really drives that point home.
Exactly, and if you look at Philippians 2:9-11, it's like the story comes full circle. God exalts Jesus, gives him the name above every name, and suddenly, everyone, heaven, earth, even under the earth, bows to Jesus. That's not just authority, that's ultimate recognition.
It's like the entire narrative is pointing toward this moment, Jesus taking that central spot. That actually reminds me how these passages don't stand alone but really build on each other. The way Isaiah phrases, it always gets me, from the rising of the sun to its setting, people may know there is none besides me. There's a universality to it. Why do you think that emphasis on God's uniqueness is repeated so much?
It's almost like God is saying, don't miss this. There's no one else like me. In a world full of rival gods and competing claims, this message stands out. Even when people don't acknowledge him, God promises strength and presence. It's both exclusive and inclusive at the same time.
And I've noticed, in the way Philippians describes it, there's this future vision, every knee bowing, every tongue confessing. So it moves from God's uniqueness to Jesus being universally recognized.
Right, and that's a big shift. The Old Testament emphasizes God alone, but then the New Testament brings Jesus into that picture, not as a rival, but as an extension of God's plan, almost like the fulfillment of that exclusive claim.
Shifting gears for a second, Psalm 86 and passages from Ezekiel and Isaiah bring up God's character, things like mercy, justice, and being attentive to prayer. How do those qualities play into this bigger conversation about authority and uniqueness?
What strikes me in Psalm 86 is how personal it gets. The psalmist isn't just talking about God being mighty, he's asking for God's care and forgiveness. It's authority, but with deep compassion. Ezekiel 33, for example, talks about God wanting people to turn back to him, not to punish. Authority doesn't mean harshness, it means guidance and hope.
That idea of